Hey everybody, this is a bit different. Decided to take a little bit of time off, just a small amount, a week. Did this figure my son printed me about 3 years ago. It's an Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings. So I'm trying something different. I don't know if you guys have heard of non-metallic metal painting. I'm trying it. I halfway succeeded and halfway didn't. But this is my first time I ever tried this. I'm used to painting figures the old way. And right now he's looking a bit coppery, but it's a 1-point light source. Like the light is coming at him from the side where he's looking at, like there's a fire. So everything's got to get light, and then I'll go back and fill it in with gray tones, all the way from black to neutral metal, or neutral gray. Sorry, can't use metal. Boy, I really had to fight the using of a graphite pencil. Boy. Anyway, now I'm working in a little bit of darker. This was actually fun. It was quite enjoyable. This is the whole project from start to end. As you can see, he's quite a muscular guy. Either that, he's got one hell of a leg cramp, one of the two. So the light's going to hit him on the shoulder, the helmet, the side of his arm, his legs, and part of his shield in his other hand, and the sword. Hitting again a little bit of white, trying to, and then probably won't be able to see it. Hopefully I can catch it, but I was trying to more concentrate on the figure for you guys. Is the how I was mixing the colors. The first time. This might be the second time I touched it because I had it all done. I don't know what happened to that. I must forget to push play. Anyway, I'm mixing the colors once I get it in to a very transparent, and I'm not using, you can't use any, what's that stuff called? Hold on, I got some laying right over glaze, which glaze works real good, but it gets it looking funny. And I put some orange on it, and that turned it too much. I was afraid somebody would get it confused with copper, so put a little more yellow on. Then you'll see me put a white highlight later or sometime here. I don't know if you guys have watched these figure painters that take 1,200 hours to paint a figure smaller than this ape, and they come out absolutely jaw-dropping. Just look up non-metallic metal painting for figures, and these guys make every model contest. They make thousands of dollars. And no, I'm not trying to make thousands of dollars. Millions. I'm going for millions. None of that thousand stuff. Anyway. I thought I had a thing of me. Obviously it didn't. At the end there will be. The hair did not 3D print off, or 3D, it did not resin print off correctly. It like missed a part, and then some of his, one of the neck guards on the shoulder was broke off, and it was very, very thin, so I had to replace it, where the other one was thicker. It's a free download if you got a printer. resin printer. My son vacuum printed me off a bunch for Christmas. Not World War I German, World War II British soldiers, all in this scale about, and American Civil War. And I thought, no. I told him to surprise me. He surprised me. This is actually at, because I sat here and I did this almost all night. Yeah, I mean, an hour or so. And I was like, I'm going to have to speed this up. This is at 600 times normal speed. So I must be moving like a turtle. And you'll see me like my clothes change there. Some of this you gotta let dry. So it seems like you're waiting for something to dry. Just brightening up certain areas. Trying to see where the light would bounce off. And I can easily go back and darken it. You don't know the hardest part to paint on this stupid thing? The shield. On the back side. With the side that's to the outside of the... I was looking at it when I was done today and I realized that I finished it, but I didn't quite finish it the way I wanted it to. I didn't even notice until I was taking pictures. I didn't do the typical, what everybody does with the spinning car, you guys do cars or aircraft or anything like that. I just did side views because it's mostly shadowed for the left side of the person in back in his right front quarter. It should have shadow or highlights and shadows. Stuck him back on the base. Oh, by the way, I did airbrush this to start with to bring in the colors. I used which I actually found out I really like this stuff, is the Vallejo Black Primer. Man, that stuff worked good. So I went with that. I went with a dark gray, neutral gray, red, black, or black red. And then to bring in more warmth, I brought in the black brown, which is a dark rust color. You can see a little bit on the foot or on the stand, and that's how I kind of like got it prepared. That's what I'm using now to mix it in. I'm trying to do the sword non-metallic. And I'll have to let that dry and I'll hit it again. And then I still have to put a little bit of yellow into it for like a fire, Right there, it's hitting the tips. It's kind of serrated, at least on the model. This model. There, I'm taking water from it, and I'm painting off screen, just like Doug. Oh, there we go. So I'm just. Now he looks like he's green, but yeah. Just working in some warm colors. Some of the spots you'll probably notice I'll hit 3 or 4 times and end up going back to a dark color. I even had to paint grass in the knee shins. Yeah, there's grass. Anyway, I thought I better highlight these fur. No, and I honestly told you, I really don't know what I'm doing. I watch a lot of videos, but videos don't, you can see, but why? Since the guy can't speak English, heck of a figure painter though. Working on his helmet a little, and this was about the third day in, and I just got done with it last night, Friday. Working in some highlights, and I got shadows there, and I got a brush there and a paper towel to wipe my brush to get the excess water or make sure it ain't severely dirty. Then I noticed the Uruk-hai's arm there is a bit on the dark side. So I'm feathering it out a bit, and I'll hit it again later. Is yellow, and that brown makes a coppery looking orange. See, that's going to be the side the light would hit, but I end up, this is all working into the end. Did 100% turn out? No, but it was fun. I had really relaxing. Working in some highlights for the fur. And there's some chainmail hanging down there too. You can't tell by the sides there. You can barely see it. And I'm running a shadow beside them. As you can see, it's slightly dipped in on the chainmail. That side there is going to be mostly shadow, except for towards the outside. Now, that's a chainmail. I'm using a grayish brown as a highlight, and then later on, I actually hit the tips of the chainmail a little bit to make it look like the chainmail, like it's chainmail. Now it's shadow below, light above. Now I have to hit it again. What this did help me do is get my, since the surgery and that with my shoulder and that, it helped steady me up a little. So maybe I ought to do more of these now and then. Now all this back chainmail I had to make. It was broke out, and I took some milliput, and then I made the chainmail out of it. This is going to be really dark back here because there's no light behind him hardly, other than what do they call it? Radiosity. Other colors or whatever reflecting on it. I don't remember if it, in the movie, I think it was Moonlight at Helm's Deep, but I had a little bit of trouble with his back there. I ended up hitting that like 50 times, it seemed like. Hitting his belt, have to hit all the straps for his, hold on his knee guards. And as you can see, I got the back of the helmet with a splash of yellow spray painted. And I was like, that ain't right. Shouldn't be anything there much. This is the first run through of this. Then when it dries, you can see more what it's doing. I'm just bringing out that little wet brush to smear it around, to blend it, really. Have you any? I know Pete has painted figures. I don't know if anybody else has. And I thought, how do you guys do collages? And you just don't slap paint on figures. If you've seen anything from Shep Paint, you know what I'm talking about. There, I'm putting a little bit of white highlight. And I'll work in some more yellow because I realized now I'm doing the edge of the blade in white, a watered down white. Now it looks like a light bouncing off it, see? I'm hitting his hairdo. I didn't know they wore dreadlocks. Who knew? Most of that hair I had to make because it came down into a big ponytail. But I was like, what's this supposed to look like? He never did show me, my son, in the 3D drawing, what the hair is supposed to look like in the back. So I just made something up to cover up the big ponytail. Hitting that again with some shadow. I've seen me at that time there. I went over it with water on my brush only to blend it out. I'm working on his hair up there, making his helmet darker on the outside, working some shadows in on top. Sorry that ain't in my hand's pulling it out of focus. Taking some light color, because that's a high spot right there, and it dips down because his leg is back, and then the other one, so whoever made this model did a pretty decent job. You think of the 3D drawing. I don't know if any of you goofed with it, but I messed with Blender for years, and yeah, never got anywhere close to that. Alright, this is a new day. See, I got my copper boob plate. And I don't know, I don't remember where this one finishes off at, but I was sitting back looking, I said, that looks like copper. Too bad he didn't have copper armor. What's the name of that stupid game? I don't know if you guys ever played it. I want to say Dead Space. Did it? Yeah, Dead Space, where the guy has the copper suit. That reminded me of that guy. Yeah. Now I'm running some grays on it to kind of, and if I don't like it, you can just take a little damp brush while before it dries. Even if it does dry, sometimes you can get it to come up a little. I mean, not thoroughly dry, like 24 hours, but I'm darkening everything up. Yes, I dart around. I'm also waiting for places to dry so I can add another layer. It's all about layering the paint that I can figure out. At least on normal figures it is, and I did 3 knights of old and a couple of boughten dragons and a wizard and a dragon I made myself, if you guys ever seen it. Yeah. And I painted them the old way. This is actually fun. I had fun with them too, though, don't get me wrong. Now, if I can only do this as with one 35th scale figures, I can, but I'm rotten with faces, so it might get better now, but it's easier to do faces on bigger ones. Duh. This is a long video. If you see this, YouTube took it without me having to split it in half. So I'm dulling that end out, add some white, adding black, taming that down a bit. Not black, but a dark gray. Now I'm working some shadow in the foot, or the top of the... Now I figured I got the back of that too light back there. His hair might have caught some, but I covered that up too. Light, that is. And I also looked up and they said, as far as I remembered, Uruk-hais are either a very dark red or very dark brown to a reddish brown in color by what they did on the movie. And like, my sources are super hot, right? But anyway, still had a lot of fun. I'm also now hitting the edges with some light gray. And I'll do that on the rest of the chest armor, around the shoulder armor where it bends, the helmet top, oh, I looked in the movie stuff, and I didn't see, you'd think these Uruk-hai would be all rusty. Most of them had leather armor, but some of them in Helm's Deep had this kind of armor. They didn't show any rust, and I was like, I thought that would be part of their weathering process for the movie. And now I'm hitting that one low spot again with some more dark. Hitting the belt. Anyway, so you're not going to see, if you see rust, it ain't meant to be rust. I missed a spot. Only place that I'd put rust was there's dents, and you can't really see it because it's on the back side of the shield. There's a lot of dents in it. Probably from the dwarf. Right about now, I'm starting to like it. Different day. Trying to get rid of that real, not all of it, but a little bit. I had there we go. It was too much wrapped around the light. I hit up there. I should hit that one leg muscle there. I don't know if I do. A little bit of high spots where his neck muscles are. I could not even see his eyes. I know they're in there. So I never did them. But I did his mouth and the lips. I wish I could set the focal length on this to at a certain distance, and it won't autofocus after that. I don't know if you. I looked in the camera. I'd never seen anything do that. Because then I could set a depth of field, back it out or whatever, and everything would be in focus on the figure or the model you're working on instead of your hand going in front of it. But I think you guys get the gist of it. Now it's going to be dark back there. Can't you see? Can't even see it. It's so dark. Yeah, man. But put some light gray highlights in his hair, but I also edged the back of his helmet. Doing it now on other parts. Fading it out a little with watered brush. Oops, right there I'm doing, not even sure what I was doing there. Re-hitting some under the neck guard on the front chest plate. There I'm just running some dark along the creases of the leg. Probably still looking at this and going, I had not so much trouble with the belt. It was, I would get it too wet and run down the belt, and I'd have to do it over. I noticed that under his back helmet, the back of the helmet, that I had it should be pretty dark right under there. After, I don't think I showed it, but I did a ink water and wash with burnt umber and latex paint from Artist Paint. What I usually do with all of it. So hitting some highlights again on the sword. And you know what I realized, and I think I did it off camera, but I never did the other side of the sword. Now I'm hitting just a little bit of highlights on it. I have no idea. Oh, I'm working on that stupid shield. Yeah. What I should have done is painted the bottom black and the other one a charcoal gray. The top where it V's. Hey, I think I did do that. It just didn't lend well to, I don't know if it was the paint or the primer or what. It just did not behave. I think it was the darkness of it. It wasn't, because I used I even tried using pastels, the pastel chalks, and you dampen it and you put it on there, and they just faded to nothing as far as rust or anything, because that's where it looked like it would rust, is where it was hit. It's like the notch in the top of his fan on top of his helmet, or you know. The way it looked like this, the way it's beat up, I think this guy, Uruk-hai used his shield more for a weapon than he did his sword. And were just scratches. Notice totally off camera. That way you can't see me screw up. There we go. Taming it down a bit. I didn't like it. And on some of the dark holes, yeah, I did it good. I hit it with some dark gray to kind of make it look like it's deeper than. I think I also hit his fingertips with this yellow. Yep, back on the belt again. I turned out too gray, so I'm adding some watered down black brown. Kind of making the brass thing on the end brass looking, trying to, the tip of the belt. So I'm always mixing. Notice how thin that is. You can see the white underneath it. It is transparent. No, it ain't done. I'm working on his straps that are holding on his leg guards. Adding some definition to the muscles in the back, and darkening up a bit. That's going to be deep shadow. Notice I painted that again a darker color, and then I worked around the brim on the back. There, I'm doing his mouth. Say ah. I'm using that black brown and some they called it crimson, and it wasn't too bright, so I didn't want it to like leap out like there was some woman that piled on her lipstick. Now the fun part. I get to do the, this was fun. This is where I learned. I wish I would have done this first. No, I'm not painting it like I normally do with most ground covers. I decide to hit all the highlights with this light color. But they have the, what the heck is it called that? The Gondor's soldier's helmet and breastplate laying there, and it has the tree on the tree on the breastplate, and on the face it has wings covering it, and it's all in brass. This is where you get to learn about. I learned more on this than I did the whole model, so I wish I'd have done this first, because I would have definitely. I'm doing that's where the light's supposed to be hitting. This is supposed to be metal. I'm working in the shadow, give it roundness, Doing the same with his breastplate, even covering up the tree. It looks funny. It looks all like there's ants crawling all over it. I wonder what's going on there. I wonder if it's the speed. Working in more shadow. A little more, just trying to even it out. Now I'm lightening up that dark area, because that's actually part of the breastplate. Oop, can't forget the other side of the head there. Now I'm just giving it a light wash of light gray or white, I don't remember. Oh, it looks like it was white. I'm kind of outlining where the tree is, and I go back and hit more of the ground. At the end, I got a picture of the helmet. You'll see that in the breastplate. I'm not going. The white is ending about where the brass begins. Actually, I went over it a little, I believe, but can't tell. I don't like the look of this. Looks all pixelated, jagged. I was hoping it would have changed. Now I'm working in yellow for gold or brass. I'm hitting the brass feathers. I'm mixing up stuff, that's why it's taking me a while. I don't want to do a full-on solid yellow. This is flat yellow, by the way. All the paints here are flat. I'm doing the tree of Gondor that's on the shield. This was not a pain in the butt. I couldn't find I bought a brush specifically for this, and I had it put up and I couldn't find it. Then the last moment I found it and I could find details. I go through small brushes like crazy, so I try to put them up. And I have to go back in, and because this stuff is kind of watery, it will sometimes, if I don't get it, I get it too watered, it'll run in between the tree branches onto the shield, and I don't want that. I have to go back and hit that again, so it's no big deal. I'm learning. I think it's right about here. I went, ooh, I like it. You can't tell on this, but if this wouldn't be so pixelated, I don't know why it did that. You'd know what I mean. But it actually looked like brass. No, I'm not going to paint my brass radiator on the Benz brass. Oh, come on. Still hitting yellow on it because I'm finding spots. There, the neck thing is brass. No, this is pixelated too, but maybe not as bad. Now I'm just putting an edge, a watery edge around the feathers, and I should have probably went back and hit it with some white highlights and spots, but I didn't. Gotta get the other side of the helmet. I'm doing this with kind of a copper tinted orange, more towards brown than it is orange, and that really helped a lot with bringing stuff out. Now I believe I'm going to fill in where the yellow got. Yep, there's my good brush, supposedly. About to the end here. Are you awake? Add a little bit of white to where the tree makes a cross looking thing on it. And some yellow highlights on the brass neck ring, or neck. Oh, I think I did go backward. Dipping in black. Oh, okay. Now I'm doing the rest of the ground cover. I'm doing a wash over it now to normalize it, you might say, equalize the colors so they ain't so stark. And it's that water-based, heavily watered ink and acrylic paint for artists. And I didn't show it, but I went back over the Uruk-hai with it, especially on the hair. Now I'm taking the excess off. Whenever you see me go back and then run it over again, I'm soaking up the excess. I didn't want it too dark. Alright, that's primed. That's the copper guy. That's the back of the guy after he's coppered. There's kind of like what he's looking like. There's the back of him. You can see the shield and the helmet. There's the helmet there. Not a very good photo. And there's the other side. Thanks for watching. There's the helmet. Bye. Have a good night.